Welcome to this afternoon's performance of False Accounts. The following production is based on a true story, however many events have been condensed for simplicity and dramatic purposes. But much of what you will see and hear allegedly happened. Although many names and facts will be used with the greatest accuracy, the portrayal of characters and narrative of the story must be viewed in a satirical context and is no way an accurate depiction of any individual. Allegedly.
Computers! Gotta love them. There's one in almost every home, there's one on every phone. Switched off, I hope? Good, just checking. They're designed to make our lives easier, more expedient and efficient. But when they go wrong, they can cause great harm. Or even worse, kill people. A bug in the computer software designed to run the new Boeing MAX 737 aircraft NCAS had a nasty flaw. Under certain circumstances, it could abruptly order a plane into a steep dive, giving even the most experienced of pilots about 40 seconds to diagnose the error and recover their aircraft. The pilots of Lion Air Flight 610 could not save theirs, so 189 people were gone. The lives of their loved ones torn apart, just like that. Because of a computer error the designers failed to spot. After the first crash of Flight 610, it's just one person in a key position of authority at Boeing who stood up and said,
"We've got to ground those planes right now and solve this problem. There's a real threat to passenger safety here."
Then those 157 souls of Ethiopian Flight 302 that crashed 5 months later would still be alive today. But no one did, so they were killed. Even after that second crash, Boeing still wouldn't ground their new MAX fleet, seeking to blame the pilots.
There is nothing wrong with MCAS. I mean, liable, Ethiopian Airways. They're dealing with third world countries here. I doubt their pilots are up to our standards. We're not grounding those planes. You got any idea how much that would cost? No siree. Our planes are staying in the air.
You know who grounded those planes first, leading the rest of the world to follow suit? China. I know, right? Placing blind faith in a computer system because you believe it to be absolutely infallible can cost lives. At the turn of the new millennium, a new computer system called Horizon would be installed in every post office across the United Kingdom. Horizon was overdue, over budget, and full of bugs. And many of the sub-postmasters didn't welcome its arrival. But they had no choice but to give up the old way of doing things and embrace the new technology. So, the scene was set for what would become the biggest miscarriage of justice in British history.
We are the Post Office auditing team, right, sir? Indeed we are, sir. If your branch books don't balance, or if you're getting regular shortfalls, or you're getting discrepancies in your branch that you cannot account for, then you can expect a visit from us to your branch.
Sure any of your staff are getting sticky fingers?
Well,
Then we're going to know about it, ain't we, sir?
absolutely, so in fact, if we catch you, we can use proceeds of crime order to come and take everything you own. So if you get a visit from us, you
I'm
better...
very sorry to interrupt your havening monologue, sir. What is this thing?
Up there is a physical representation, vis-a-vis a model of our set, sir.
It don't look much like our set, sir. In fact, it kind of looks nicer than our set. Why can't we have a set like that, sir?
Well, unfortunately, this only arrived this morning, meaning we had no time or money to build the actual set, sir.
If we ain't using it, what's it doing on the stage, upstaging us, sir?
Well, it's there to represent the other thing, innit, eh? It's called an anagram.
An anagram, sir?
Yeah, it means when something stands in for something else to represent something different.
Oh, you mean a metaphor, sir? Metaphor.
Matador, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, anyways, let's just imagine that this is going to stand in for Horizon.
Horizon. Oh, Horizon. He means the incredibly robust computer system, the one that was installed in every post office up and down the country. The one that can never ever be in error, right, sir?
The one and the same, sir. So let's just use our imagination and say that this is going to represent the Horizon program.
I'm using my imagination very hard, sir. It still don't look much like a computer to me.
No, well, that's where the Matador comes in.
Metaphor.
That's what I said. Right, so look, if you're going to build a computer software program, right, designed to run all the terminals across all the post offices all over the country, what you would do is you would build a smaller prototype version first. A little bit like the way that this is a prototype version of our set.
And we accept.
Yeah, exactly. But let's just imagine now, right, that this is going to represent, as a metaphor,
I see.
the initial design of Horizon by Fustigit.
Even Fujitsu means Fujitsu.
That's what I said, yeah. So they were contracted by the post office to build this computer software program.
Right.
Now let's imagine that they built the prototype version, but then they ran out of time. So rather than go away and construct the larger system required to run all the transactions across all the post offices, instead they ran with a prototype version.
I'm not a very technical man, if you understand, but it sounds to me like that wouldn't work too well, sir.
Indeed it did not, sir. And that is exactly what they decided to do.
This game.
1999. Such a different time. The information superhighway was only just becoming a thing. That's what we called the internet in those days. There was no social media to preoccupy everyone's time, and only a small handful of us actually had mobile phones. You couldn't dump your soon-to-be ex by text. Dating apps weren't even a thing, let alone chat rooms. People still had actual conversations in person, especially in little villages like this. We'd lived in the city for years, and my husband and I wanted to change. So when we heard that the sub-postmaster of this rural branch near my mum's was selling up, it seemed like the perfect business we were looking for. I loved that village, so the transition was really easy for us. The post office is the beating heart of any small community, and when you're manning the desk every day, you get to know everyone pretty well. They would all say hello and even smile at us in the streets. Oh, hello.
Oh, hello there. Karen, how are you settling in?
Oh, just fine, thank you, Regina. We absolutely love it here.
Oh, that's grand. So, I was running a film quiz this Friday in February. Will I see you there? So,
Oh, you can count on it. We soon became regulars at the local pub quiz. Watched the cricket on the green every Sunday afternoon. We all knew each other's names. Morning, George.
morning, Mrs. Jackson.
It's Mrs. Smith, actually. Anyway, we sold everything from a TV licenses to fishing permits, travellers' checks to lottery tickets. Every week we had our regulars, and they all would always want to chat.
Did you hear about that couple that won the Euro last week?
Well,
They only just bought themselves a 5-bedroom house and already had a couple of ponies, and then they go and win 100 million quid.
well,
People like that shouldn't be allowed to play the lotto, if you ask me.
Well, you never know, it could be him.
well, yeah.
People love complaining about not winning the lottery and the size of the gas and electric bills. Something tells me that's not going to change. But most of all, they just wanted to talk to you. Sometimes it would be about the weather.
Oh no! See that cloud? It's like rain again today. I don't like the rain. It rained all last week, and now you know what they said? They said it's going to rain all next week. Didn't we talk about the rain when it came in last time?
Yeah, we did.
Oh no, the rain.
Oh, poor kids. Other times, they just wanted to tell you the local gossip.
You see, I heard he ran off with that new gun and people in the bar. I mean, honestly, taking on a 20-year-old Filipino with a chest-sized of Everest to just asking for charity. That's mountain by the way. Emmett.
For the most part, people were lovely, but I was to admit I liked the old way of doing things. If there was a shortfall, you could always go back to the paperwork and you'd soon find the problem.
We all called it the Royal Mail for so long. You always felt like the post office was this trusted brand with this almost regal quality to it. I first began working for them when I left school at 17, first behind the counter. Then my sub-postmistress made me a deputy manager. I felt great to have some responsibility for the first time in my life. And my mum, she said she was so proud of me. You see, I wasn't exactly top of the class at school, but as my dad always said, I was a grafter, and I knew it. I had to knuckle down and work hard. So, one day, I decided to run abroad to my own. And before Horizon came along, we never, ever had any problems.
Evening all. How's it going? I love being married. 25 years next week. I'll never forget the first time I laid eyes on RG. I knew it was time to show off my dance skills, so I had a word with the DJ. He hit MC Hammer.
Can't touch this.
Hit the dance floor.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
She just melted into my arms. Naturally. I knew in this moment this was the woman I was going to spend the rest of my life with. Next thing you know, we're married, got 2 kids, and I'm about to become a grandfather. I know what you're thinking. They're too young. What can I say? It's all in the genes. Our kids are good-looking beggars and all. Look at them. When we first took over the branch in 1995, it was in a right state, to be honest. But we both mucked in, spent about 300 grand on renovations, totally modernised the whole thing. We rented out the upstairs flat, lived about 20 minutes up the A41. We never had any issues, and we ticked along quite nicely, thank you very much. We both loved that part of the world. My big hobby was cricket. So, I joined the local team. Good excuse to have a pint. Sipping a beer after the day on those warm summer nights, truly best of times.
Trusted brand, guaranteed footfall through the doors, and a sports salary. As a business proposition, it felt like a no-brainer to me. Back then, we got a basic wage, but the real profit was to be found in the retail side of the business. Sure, some branches were closing, but I knew, with my background in IT and sales experience, I could make a success of the place. And so it was. Before the installation of Horizon, let me tell you something. If there was ever a shortfall, I always found it. I was meticulously organized with my paperwork. Just ask my wife.
He organises his DVDs in alphabetical order and by genre. God forbid if I should put one in the wrong place.
Don't be leaving the professional's DVD disc by the television. Put it back in the box under the crime subsection under television drama. She loves that Lewis Collins. I'm more of a Martin Shaw man. Now, where was I? It might interest you to learn that as a sub-postmaster, we don't actually work for the Post Office Limited or POP, as most people like to call it these days. We are self-employed traders, and we're supposed to sign a contract, and even the Official Secrets Act before taking on a branch. So I later found out, even getting to see a contract could be down to pure chance. But I made sure I got hold of one. And I went through every single line, twice. And buried deep in its pages, I found a rather interesting clause.
Sub-Postmasters Contract, Clause 12 of Section 12. Yes, here we go. The sub-postmaster is responsible for all losses caused through his own negligence, carelessness or error, and also for losses of all kinds. Assistance deficiencies caused through such losses must be made good without delay. I have to admit, when I took on my branch, I can't remember reading that at the time. And if I did, I certainly didn't appreciate what it meant. Before Horizon came along, the book's always balanced and there was never any issues. I really enjoyed the job. You got to meet all types and the work was never boring. With the installation of Horizon, I was sent away down to Maidstone for 2 days training, and then a trainer came up to my branch near Glasgow to show me how to use my terminal.
As you can see, Horizon handles everything, from lottery to stabs to benefits and all your retail items. Just like before, you balance everything on Wednesday, sign off on the worksheet, and send it off to tester field. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Right, so, if, once I've done the weekly balance, if there is any kind of error, how do I go back and review the transactions on the system?
Error? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow.
Well, I mean, you know, if there's any discrepancies or maybe a shortfall.
Why would there be any discrepancies? Oh, I see. You mean if you made a mistake?
No, I mean if the computer's made a mistake. If Horizon might go wrong somehow.
I'm sorry, I still don't quite follow. How could this go wrong?
Because it's a computer, and computers can go wrong, can't they?
Right. This is Horizon. It's a very robust system, yeah? It doesn't just go wrong.
We've had that word a lot when it came to Horizon. Robust. It may well be robust, but if I accidentally enter something twice, or for some reason the system goes down on your end, all the cells will go through completely correctly and balance out, will they?
Yeah, probably. Horizon is very robust.
Robust, yep, you said that already. So, if we finish adding everything for this training session, all the figures will balance correctly, yeah?
Exactly. Just press this button there. Yeah, that one, and he pressed it.
But it's not balanced. In fact, it's down by 500 panels.
Impossible. I'm sure we did everything correctly. Let me have a look. Right. Sometimes this does happen. It's usually a terminal teething thing.
Terminal teething? Is that a technical term, is it? I'm 500 quid down and we haven't even opened yet.
No. Please do not worry about that. I'm sure it'll sort itself out tomorrow.
It would sort itself out tomorrow. If I had a tenner for every time someone connected to Horizon told me that, I'd have 960 quid, which ironically would come in handy because I'd then have to pay back the £500 out of my own pocket to cover the cock-up caused by the bloody trainer. And I'm not even joking, this actually happened. So, we went from books that balanced regularly to one discrepancy after the other. And the shortfalls, well, they just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Look, I have to be honest, I don't really know that much about computers, but it always felt to me from the very beginning as if something with the design, it just wasn't working properly.
All right. Yes. I'm just your typical software code developer for information technology. I put the I in the IT. See what I did there? Horizon? Oh, sure, I worked on it. Well, if you think back to the months leading up to the new millennium and the whole Y2K bollocks, it was a time for real chances in our industry. You know, it was, and still is, full of people who don't really know what they're actually doing. Have you ever heard that phrase, a bad workman blames his tools? Well, that applies in IT. For most of you, IT probably feels very removed from your daily lives. That's okay. I can't fix a broken tap either. The real issue here starts with Fujitsu, the company that won the contract to design the new software system that would be installed in every post office across the country. I mean, our coding team was based in this shitty industrial estate in darkest Bracknell, a town famous for its number of roundabouts, and fuck who else to recommend it. And when I got there, their design team was somewhat lacking in leadership, and they were already months behind schedule, so most were getting minted at jobs that half of them weren't even properly qualified for, so, you know, why rock the boat? The longer it took, the better. Don't get me wrong, there were some really good, hard-working people there, but the managers, they were something else. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what the online reviews have said about working for the company.
Take this from a sucker who worked for 5 years for Fujitsu. Management are selected from an inner circle of friends and have no people or technical skills. Plus, you're paid peanuts. Peanuts without the nut. Or the shell. Price to work in there? Well, you could walk away anytime you wanted because no one cared. Calls to work in there, being there, the building existed.
During my time at Fujitsu, customers were abusive daily and we were given no training on how to handle them. I did not feel there was appropriate support for new staff. Post to working there, it was my first IT job and I made some friends. Cons, poor management, and a low salary.
Well, it was a great place to get your foot in the door of IT, but a terrible place to progress. The management appeared to be picked from a toy box and their interpersonal skills were just awful. Pros to working there... No, I can't think of any. Cons, bad had it there.
So, after my first month at the place, my boss, who shall remain nameless, called me in for a meeting.
Come in. So, you've been here a while. How are you finding your feet at Fujitsu?
I'm finding my feet more easily than your team are finding the bugs in Horizon.
Well, that's normal. Every new computer software has a few bugs.
This isn't just a few bugs. I mean, whole design is a nightmare. Half the team I'm working with don't actually care about solving these issues. Their morale is virtually non-existent. They come in, they write a bit of code and they go home. Considering you're spending £10 million a month on this thing, I'd hope there'd be a little more coordination amongst the design and the workforce.
That's why we have you. I'm sure you'll soon find a way to whip them into shape, won't you?
You're supposed to launch a sing every post office across the country in 6 months' time, though.
Correctamundo.
I don't see how that's going to happen. I mean, there have been over 100 Category A bugs since I got here. The whole design needs throwing out and redesigning from scratch.
Any substantial change this late would be impossible. I'm sure you'll find a way to make it work.
Oh, I've never scored steak.
So they rolled out Horizon. Was it fit for purpose? Was it fuck?
13 years we ran that branch and it was a real success. Holidays abroad from the family, lots of presents around the tree at Christmas. All until 2009, we had our first serious shortfall. It was £2,000 and then it leapt up to £12,000 the next day. There wasn't a single week that year after that I could get the books to balance. I couldn't understand it. So you start to suspect your staff. It's really horrible. Because these are decent, honest, hard-working people who've worked for us for years and never taken a penny. Well, I didn't want to worry Gina about it all. So I made good on the losses from our own account. So, the branch had swallowed £35,000 of our own money. All of our savings. But I didn't know what to do. I just hoped that somehow it would all still work out.
Then just like that, we were £75,000 down. We'd had smaller shortfalls before every now and then that we'd always managed to cover out of our own pocket, mind, but £75,000 was a huge amount of money. I tried to call the helpline, but on balance days it took forever to get through to them. So my district rep from the National Federation of Postmasters, Mr. Pinkerton, agreed to meet with me. The local club, of course.
I think I'll have a sirloin, Mr. Smith. Our wounds were all good last time.
Yes, and I recall you decided it was my shout last time.
Did I? Now look, £75,000 for all the large sum of money just disappeared. You sure you haven't miscalculated some way?
Well, I'm 100% sure. We've checked everything twice. I'm sure there must be something wrong with our Horizon terminal. Perhaps something is amiss with the main system back at Fujitsu, a duplication of figures somewhere or something.
No. I don't think so. I've got complete confidence in the robustness of the Horizon system. It's managing hundreds of millions of transactions across 12,000 branches all over the UK. Besides, it's managed by Fujitsu.
Well, I really don't see what difference that makes, Mr. Pinkerton.
Well, clues in the name, isn't it? East Asia. Fujitsu. The Japanese. Computers are their thing. It's right at the top of their CV. Well, that and bombing Pearl Harbor.
And you're absolutely certain that no one else, any other branch anywhere in the country is experiencing problems similar to our own?
No, nothing like that at all. But
Your nose, Mr. Pinkerton. It's grown.
I don't think so. I think that it may be better if you can find another reason around its pregnancy, to solve the issue.
But a £75,000 shortfall overnight is considerably more than a discrepancy, Mr. Pinkerton. Can't our union help, of course? You're meant to represent me, you're meant to represent us. What's the point of a National Federation of Sub-Postmasters if you don't represent the Sub-Postmasters? He really did make that Pearl Harbor joke, by the way.
What point, indeed? Postal workers, your postman pats if you like, they had the Communication Workers Union, but the sub-postmasters had the NFSP, or National Federation of Sub-Postmasters, or the Fed, which was a committee of sorts. Okay. The Union General Secretary for most of the time we're concerned with was a one George Tolson, a staunch defender of the Horizon system. The senior members of the NFSP met at their annual conference in a beautiful coastal hotel, their banner hanging above the committee table. Sorry everyone, I said their banner hanging above them.
I have the bucket for that sort of thing. There's nothing else.
Anyway, the National Federation of Sub-Postmasters met for their annual conference.
Members of the elected council of the Federation of Sub-Postmasters, welcome one and all to what has been a most profitable year for the post office and our members. As we saw through another profitable decade, I can announce that our union now has 6,400 members!
Very good.
This elected council provides an umbrella of wisdom and support for its membership over 10 regions. There is nothing more important to this council than its members. Our sub-postmasters are considered as equals to our partner, Post Office Limited. Ask not what your union can do for you. Ask what your union can do for the Post Office!
Sorry, I should have done anything the way around.
Let me explain for the old. This elected council, which has always been elected freely and fairly with no undue or unfair influence. How are you? Thanks for sorting out the Bentley. I haven't driven anywhere, but it's nice to have it in the drive. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. We called together this special meeting in order to confirm our support for the Post Office Bill. Good kitchen. Someone read it out while I finish my stars all the way behind here.
This Federation supports the Government's Postal Service Bill and the All-County Post Office Group on Wednesday, 24th November in the House of Commons. Now, that was a good piss up. We announced at that meeting that with immediate effect, we will be affiliating to the Employees Home Ownership Association, propelling the Post Office Limited even further towards sending its revenue.
Stop. Before we indeed indulge in our next course.
Yeah, it's good.
There is an urgent matter that requires this committee's immediate attention. Read it up, let it get chat.
It has come to our attention that a very important matter needs addressing. And if this matter is not addressed immediately, it could undermine the very thing this council stands for, the heart of our members. So it is imperative for their membership, for their reputation, and for this federation's future that we must address this very important issue today.
Is this the issue with the Horizon system?
No, that is the issue with Horizon is completely different. I am, of course, talking about the most crucial issue, ladies and gentlemen. Approving the design for the new logo for the National Federation of Sub-Postmasters.
Let's see it then.
And the new logo.
Very massive cockpit discussing this side meeting.
Oh, I quite like it.
What? Well, that shouldn't.
Shouldn't be there. Anyway, so there's my big proud day.
Mr. Chairman, I really feel that I should mention before we close any other business. There's been 41 convictions of our members this year for false accounting. I'm only including convictions which were based on harassment age.
Results! Internal security team must be working extremely hard to catch 41 of these, or what?
Pretty hard. Extremely hard.
Oral content then that there's no issues with harassment.
Come on, if there was an actual issue with Horizon, somebody would have told us.
Well, just in case there's anything else, I want complete assurances from the post office that Horizon is working properly.
Good idea. Good idea. No, don't get put in a hole.
Shut up! But look, is that the post office? Is Horizon working properly? Is that me? Okay. Oh, right. It's definitely working.
What's the next call? Wait, through the hundred dozen Tabasco and Shad. What are you doing? I just saw the stomach. Oh, I didn't turn it back. Can you do that harder?
The Fed's website likes to rewrite history because clearly their challenges were useless. I've been banging on the door for years telling them that there was something wrong with Horizon, but they weren't even willing to discuss it with me. And when I tried to hand out leaflets at that previous conference to warn other members, they spread rumors that I was crazy. To say they did absolutely nothing to help me would be the understatement of the year. Back then, all their chairman cared about was finding ways of making more money.
You were saying something to me earlier, sir, about a way to make some more money, sir. More money, sir, exactly, because more money means a bigger villa in Marbella. And you should apply as well. The Internal Security Unit loves applicants from the auditing department. What does this Internal Security Unit do exactly then, sir? Well, it investigates internal security issues, obviously. Theft, things like that. And that can mean, right, any one person flagged up by the auditing department, aka vis-a-vis by us. So mainly Postmasters and their staff then, sir, eh? Which is already our area of expertise, sir. Well, indeed it is, sir, indeed it is. But I'm not really sure I want to give up my role as an auditor, sir. I like the job satisfaction it brings me. I get to lock Postmasters out of their premises, make them squirm a bit, you know, a bit of heavy-handed questioning, frog march them down to the cash machine, extrapolate every penny they've got. Oh yeah, my working day makes you very proud. To be an auditor, sir, very proud. Oh, anyway, but you can do all of that in the Internal Security Unit and more, sir. In fact, you get to interrogate people under caution. Ooh, you do know how much I like to interrogate people, sir, especially under caution, yes. But, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I want to give up my auditor pay incentives, sir. Would that be the pay incentives that are determined by how many branches we fail, sir? It would indeed, sir. It would indeed. Might say that. Now you see, since Horizon's been installed across all the post offices all over this green and pleasant land, there's this little trend which I've noticed, which I think will work to our benefit. What's that, answer? Well, basically, before Horizon was installed, very few sub-postmasters were actually convicted of theft. Right. You see, as per their contract, they're liable for their own losses. So essentially, they'd just be stealing from themselves. It's not really much of an incentive to steal that, is it, sir? No, sir, it's not. But if you have a look here at the pie charts, okay, that's what pie chart, sir. That's a graph, and it's particularly tiny. I'm sure that gentleman there can see that from there, sir. Okay. Well, as I said in the anagram earlier, metaphor. That's what I said. So, but I know none of them can see it, right? But if I come here and have a look, right, these are the prosecutions that have been separated into 4 different racial types. 4? Some of these are dark-skinned European, Siamese type. There's even one here beginning with the N word, sir. Some people might say that we were racially prosecuting people by order of a certain ethnicity. Maybe. Do you know what? We'll let the public inquiry worry about that. Let's not worry about that. So the real reason I wanted to show you this actually was because in the year 2000, 1 year after Horizon was installed, 6 sub-postmasters and all their employees were convicted using Horizon evidence. How many were there in 2001?
41 people convicted due to Horizon X.
I'm pretty sure that's more than 6, a lot more.
A lot more, sir.
How many in 2002?
64.
64 is even more, sir.
It goes up and up, sir. I mean, with Horizon providing us with so much evidence of criminal activity, well, I think we'll be looking at a pretty big bonus check this year, sir.
Right, so you know what? We best not find any of them innocent then, eh, sir? Go really hard at them on the interrogation.
Absolutely, sir. Guilty of false accounting until proven innocent, as they say, sir.
Well, I think I'm going to start looking for a rather large villa in Marbella, one with a really big pool.
I think I'll join you, sir. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure, sir. There needs to be a deal breaker in it for me. There's got to be another perk of working for the internal security unit, sir.
Do you like this jacket?
I quite like that jacket, sir, yes.
It's a little bit like the one in the Matrix, isn't it?
It's not leather, but it's a little bit like the one in the Matrix.
Close enough. Well, if you join the internal security unit, sir, you get to walk around in this jacket and act like you're in the Matrix.
Right, I'm saying, that's it.
As a sub-postmaster, when faced with the shortfall for which you are ultimately responsible for, you had a couple of options. In the early days, you could park shortfalls in something called a suspense account. The idea being the situation would right itself in a day or two, and all would be fine when you come to balance your books for your branch on a Wednesday, so you wouldn't need to cover anything. The reality meant this was a way for you to park a debt of money you still owed to the post office. And when they got rid of suspense accounts, your second, and in fact only option, was to make good on the missing money immediately from your own pocket. When I got my first shortfall, I absolutely refused to do either of these things. See, I knew my way around computers, and I knew if I could access the system, I could find the problem. But I was told, no, this is impossible.
First, I was a few £100 down, and one day it was 2,000, then the next it was 6 grand. I worked into the night trying to make sense of it all, but no matter what I did, I could not get Horizon to balance. I could see the locals peering through the window. Well, I did everything I could to solve the problem. Finally, I went to bed exhausted at 2 a.m. The issue's still unresolved, and neither of them could sleep. I mean, how could they stop the outcome? I knew I had taken the money, and I'd ruled out everyone else who had access to it. It could only be Horizon at fault, but there was just no way to prove it.
When my shortfall reached 20 grand, I knew it was only a matter of time before they called the auditors in. We're not supposed to have large sums of cash on the premises, you see, in case we get robbed. So once it reaches a certain amount, Post Office Limited are automatically alerted. That part of the system worked remarkably well. Funny that, eh? So in the end, I called my area manager, and they came over, but they were completely useless, and simply told me to call the Horizon helpline.
Horizon helpline, what's the receipt?
I'm having these huge discrepancies, so I need to access the Horizon terminal for my branch.
That way I can check the transactions on the computer system and make sure the system is not in error.
The system can't be in error. Have you tried setting your terminal or not, we did?
I told you last time, I've already tried that.
How is that going to balance the account?
I need to access my accounts on the Horizon system.
I'm afraid I can't access your Horizon system from here.
What?
Why
not? How are you supposed to check for errors if you can't access the system?
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
As I told you, I did that already.
Look, this money has to be going somewhere.
And it can't just disappear.
Let me take you through the steps again.
As I've explained to you already, I've done all of these things several times already.
Yeah, but in order to help you, I've got to take you through the steps in my manual. So have you tried turning your Horizon terminal off and on again?
Oh my God!
Who's that checked the issue?
No, it hasn't. Look, this is the 200th time I've called you. Surely other people must be having these issues.
You're the first person I've dealt with who'd had an accounts issue with Horizon.
Look, I've followed your instructions to clear this discrepancy.
Right, because we've actually results of.
No, you've actually done it for me. It's now 6 grand.
It's now £12,000.
Now it's £30,000.
You're just supposed to be fixing this.
You're supposed to be the helpline, and I'm desperate for help here.
Not shouldn't have pound burners. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Every time I called them, I was constantly treated as if I was the problem. It couldn't possibly be the fault of their damned Horizon system.
Horizon is a flawless system.
Its design is completely robust.
It's impossible for Horizon to make a mistake that would result in the kind of loss that you described. You must have done something wrong.
There must be other people having similar problems.
No one else is having these kinds of problems. If your sister was at fault, we'd be getting these kinds of calls all the time. All the time.
And you're absolutely 100% sure that no one else can access my writing terminal or my accounts at any time? Not someone from the post office or an engineer from Fujitsu?
There is absolutely no access to your terminal from an external source.
To have access to your account is completely impossible.
Now I've got a letter saying I'm liable for this discrepancy, but when I first took over this branch, I wasn't even shown a contract till 6 months later. Why was that?
I'm sorry, but that really has got nothing to do with us.
I told you to fix this problem. All you've managed to do is double my shortfall. Now I've got to pay back twice as much.
I'm sorry, but that really has got nothing to do with us.
You don't understand. I'm going to lose my shop.
I'm sorry, but that really has got nothing to do with us.
I can't leave my house without being stared at. Everyone in the village thinks that I stole the missing money.
Do you have any idea of the stress this is causing me and my family?
I'm not eating, I'm not sleeping.
I'm going to lose my business.
I'm sorry, but that really has got nothing to do with us.
I don't know where their hotline call centre was based, but it was completely useless and frequently made matters worse. It was also blatantly obvious that they had no idea how Horizon worked. They must have had less training on it than we did.
I had 4 hours training. Oh no, wait, you know what? I had an hour for lunch, so would it be 3 hours?
I can't remember actually how much training I had. I mean, I wasn't even really listening. I was always told I had a great personality for customer service. I don't really focus on those technical things. I just answer the phone.
I wonder how many complaints the hotline logged between 1999 and the present day. I'd certainly like to know.
I'm sorry, but that really has got nothing to do with us.
You have to understand, it was the early 2000s when these issues first arose, so long before social media. There was no Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter, no Doctic. So when I was told by the headline that I was the only person having this problem, I had no way of knowing if this were true. But I didn't leave it there, no. As well as my leafleting campaign, I wrote to the post office head office several times, and I stated unequivocally that it was totally unreasonable of the post office to hold me universally liable for this discrepancy until they could prove to me without a shadow of a doubt that Horizon was working exactly as it should be. The only response I got to this correspondence was a financial demand for £2,000. And they were also quick to remind me that my contract made me legally liable for this mysterious missing sum. So, I started a website. Post office victims. See, I was certain there were others going through a similar situation. And I was going to find them.
Loving those threads, Grub. Gotta get me some of those. You must be a lawyer for the post office with a suit like that. Don't forget to claim the ticket back on expenses, yeah. So yeah, with computer systems, especially ones as complex as Horizon, the bigger the system, the harder the fall. I don't know why or who pushed the narrative that we created this infallible software. I mean, no software is infallible. I mean, how many times do you get a 5-0 update on your Xbox? My ID is sexytech.s007 if anyone wants to add me for a game of Minecraft. So, with computer systems, errors were constantly happening, and in order to fix those errors, we'd have to create patches. But we couldn't create as many as we needed. Why? Budget cuts. And those working on the development side tended not to work in tandem with us fixing all the bugs, so you'd have those tossers in development using any old bit of shit code, full of unresolved issues which only added to the problem. I mean, there are all kinds of other errors too. I don't want to get all technical on you. Don't have social sciences GCSE like me, but to put it in terms you can understand, Horizon was as robust as the cladding on Grenfell Tower was fireproof. In my opinion, it was shite, and we were forever playing catch.
After a third massive shortfall, my family started to notice a change in my disposition. Man, how could they not? The old me just wasn't there anymore. I became withdrawn and constantly moody. My wife kept asking me, are you sure there's nothing wrong? But who knew me better than her? Then, just like that, we had another massive shortfall. £23,000. Well, I reported it straight away. I was forced to close the branch and I was suspended until I made good on the missing money. Imagine what that's like. Having your bank account cleaned out of everything you've grafted for all your life by someone who insists you stole it from them when you knew you hadn't. Imagine what that does to you.
Things could be hectic at our branch from time to time, but before they shortfalls, it's nothing I could deal with. I mean, I had 3 young bits of wings at home, so I could handle the full play. In the summer, we'd have a ceilidh in the village, and everyone would bring along their favourite dish and catch up on each other's gossip. I remember sitting there watching my children running around, playing with their friends, and everyone enjoying my secret spicy chicken barbecue recipe. Just crushed chili sauce from Master. But I think that was the last time I was really happy. Once the shortfalls began at our branch, I found it difficult to think about anything else. I had just paid back £24,000 by borrowing money from my parents, when all of a sudden we were out again by 36 grand. I couldn't understand it. How could we be down by that much money? If I wasn't taking it, where was it going?
I couldn't seem to hide my sense of shame. I wore that label well and hadn't even earned it. I still went to the cricket club on the odd Sunday, but I didn't play anymore. I let someone else take my place on the team. Find a quiet spot, compact furniture. I'd watch the game, but my eyes would glaze over. All I could think about was the missing money. Empty bank accounts and credit cards maxed out to the hilt. No more holidays for the family. Not even our favourite spot in the Lake District. We had 4 presents under the tree that year. 4! By the end of 2013, the branch had swallowed another £57,000 worth of shortages in the last 22 months. Where I started to borrow money off anyone I knew to cover it. My parents sold their car and gave me all their savings. It was like I'd never ended in Black Hole. Then, then to top it all off, we got robbed. I was doing the parcel handover at the time. They burst in, jamming the door open with a crowbar, smashing it down on me. They got behind the timber store and got £54,000. You'd think our Steen post office would offer you some sort of counselling after that experience, wouldn't you? Nope.
Been here 3 hours, I'm getting sick of hearing the same story. This is going to go so much easier on you, sir, if you just admit you're in on the robbery of your branch. Right, sir?
Absolutely, sir.
I've already told you God knows how many times I didn't have anything to do with the robbery. I mean, look at the state of my hand.
Well, you probably did that to yourself, sir, didn't you?
I got 3 broken fingers and a shattered wrist.
Ah, you probably shut down your car, didn't you, sir?
If I wanted to stage a robbery, I could think of less painful ways of doing it. Thank you very much.
You see, the thing is, Mr. What's his name again? Smith. Yeah, we're not using the actual names of the sub-postmasters because their anagrams are more than one person, yeah? Amalgamations of several real people. So, alright. The thing is, Mr. Smith, you've got quite a long list of discrepancies of your branch over the years now, haven't you?
Only since we started using Bloody Horizon.
Totaling over £100,000.
Yeah, don't I know it? I paid for every single one of them out of my own pocket.
You did admit the security door was open at the time of the robbery.
Of course it was open. I was doing the parcel handover at the time. I have to open the door. It's normal procedure.
Normal procedure, he says, normal procedure. During a robbery. I don't think so.
I didn't know there was going to be a robbery until it happened now, did I, lads?
I don't think it's looking very good for you, Mr. Smith, is it, sir? No, it's not looking very good at all. It never pays to be a thing. Where's the money?
Look, why would I steal money that I was legally liable for in the first place? Especially when I kept paying it back straight away. It doesn't make any sense. Look, these other shortfalls have got through the horizon. Why don't you investigate it for Jigsaw and design that damn thing? Maybe someone there is taking the money, I don't know. Look, I can't be the only branch having problems like this.
I'm afraid you are, Mr. Smith, the only one with any trouble at all. Now, right after £30,000 went missing from your branch, by sheer coincidence, you and several members of your family took a rather expensive holiday to the Dominican Republic, 5-star resort, wasn't it?
Nice, yeah. It was my parents' wedding anniversary. They bought the ticket out of their own pocket. I didn't take any money.
Yeah, but you probably wanted some extra money, didn't you, eh? For cocktails and souvenirs. Actually, if you purchased any expensive gifts,
No, we're going to find out about it. I brought back a fridge magnet. You're welcome to it.
How much was this diamond-encrusted fridge magnet, eh?
Well, I don't know, about 20,000 pesos.
Ah! 20,000 pounds!
Well, I said 20,000 pesos, and now I come to think about it, it's probably more like, I don't know, 2,000 pesos.
Well, Miss Smith, you should just come clean on taking the money from your branch. Because as your lawyers properly told you, if you plead guilty to the lesser charge of false accounting, well, you're going to get a lighter prison sentence that well, aren't you?
Prison, but I didn't do anything.
Did that £74,000 just sprout the legs and run off on its own then, did it?
Well, check my accounts, check my property, you won't find anything.
We are going to check those accounts so we can come after your property, in fact, with the Proceeds of Crime Act. We can come after all your worldly goods.
I'm not admitting a crime that I haven't committed.
Well, somebody took 22 grand from your branch, madam. I don't think it was a tooth fairy. Wasn't a tooth fairy, was it, sir? No, sir, wasn't a tooth fairy. Wasn't the Easter Bunny either,
Easter Bunny brings you chocolate, they don't steal things.
I searched your house. Didn't find anything, so where have you hidden it? Where?
I haven't taken any money.
Getting upset isn't going to help you. If you've been having all these problems all this time, why didn't you call the helpline, eh?
I did call the helpline. I called them 39 times. They were fucking useless.
Using profanity and outbursts, that's not going to help. You know what I'm saying? Is it? Absolutely not, sir. Not going to help at all. Upset? Of course I'm upset. I am completely innocent, and you are treating me like a criminal. But if you just plead guilty to the lesser charge of false accounting, you're going to get a lighter prison sentence. So, just admit to taking the money. I didn't take the money. Plead guilty to false accounting.
God, I can't go to prison.
Just plead guilty.
I can't, I'm pregnant. It was just before my court case that I discovered I was carrying my child. Thanks to my face being plastered all over the papers, the locals had stopped speaking to us. No more quiz nights for us down the couple. When I went to the doctors, even the staff in the surgery gave me bitchy vibes, and the doctor already knew about my plight. When she suggested that I might get a termination in case I go to prison, I can't believe I nearly agreed to it. In my culture, the life of a child is sacred. But I thought, if I make this choice, if I end this child's chance of having a life, that's not me making the choice, it's the post office making it for me. So I thought, I'm going to keep this baby no matter what happens. Those bastards, they'd already taken my business, they'd taken my savings, they'd even taken my house. They were not going to taper a child, no. Excuse my language, but I told my husband, fuck the post office. If I go to prison, then I go to prison. But they have not taken my child. That's one thing they can't take away from me. That's the first time I'd seen my husband smile in a long time. We cried a lot that night. Then, just before I went to court, I got this phone call. Who would have thought a complete stranger would become my best friend for life?
Everyone in my town knew about my court case. I mean, I'd lived there all my life. So when the local paper decided to run a story, my picture slapped across the front page. How did they not? I might as well be walking around with an anti-criminal neon sign on my head. Fortunately, many of the locals took a different view and rallied round, and some real character witnesses when I got to court, but sadly, it wasn't enough because I would not admit to theft. So, I got a year, and I did 9 months. But some people never looked at me the same way again. You know how the saying goes, there's no smoke without fire. And when I asked, when I asked my mum how I was going to cope, the last thing she said to me before I got convicted was, "You're so damn tough, you'll get through this, you will." She died while I was inside. If you ever lost a relative during the pandemic and couldn't be with them at the end, then you'll know what this feels like. By the time others had started to do their own investigation into the post office and their rise, and I'd already been in and out of prison, having spent my time for this fictional crime. Oh yeah, and the other thing, the St John's ambulance who I'd volunteered with for years suddenly turned around to me to say that my services were no longer required. Yeah, that hurt. You see, I was one of the first to be convicted using horizon of evidence, so by the time I was released for so many others, this whole deal was just getting started. Somehow I managed to get through my time in prison, but this is just a front. It's how I get through the day, but inside, behind this mask, I'm totally broken. I just don't want them to see it. I just don't want to give them the satisfaction. Then, one day, about a decade later, I read about this lady, same circumstances, now branded a thief, about to be tried for false account. Well, somehow I managed to get hold of a phone number and, well, I gave her a call.
It's so nice to finally be speaking to someone who knows what I've been going through.
I'm not the only one. Dozens have joined the course. We've just had our first meeting.
Yeah, I heard the Justice for the Postmasters Alliance.
I know. It sounds like something out of Star Wars, doesn't it? Did you read that article I sent you from Computer Weekly, the one written by Rebecca Tolson?
Yes, that did. I knew there was something wrong with Horizon. Why won't the constables do anything about it?
Because they can't afford to admit they've been wrong on the roll. I mean, imagine they're scared of it, of course.
For a lot of good it's going to do, mate. The jury are going to find me guilty, I just know it.
I know it's hard, but believe me, I know. I was in the same situation as you once, but I got through it, and you will too.
I don't think you can.
You can, and you will. Listen, I didn't know how strong I was until I had to do my sentence.
How did you come up?
Because I knew I was innocent, and I believed that the truth would come out eventually. Now listen, we're starting to get organised. We're going to make sure that everybody finds out exactly what's been going on. Now, if the worst happens, when you get out, you're going to join the fight alongside me, so you need to hang on for that day, okay?
Okay, well, thank you.
And just remember, you're not alone in this fight anymore.
Then I got the call. The jury were back in. Guilty. I was going to prison.
2 months after the robbery, I was sacked by the post office. And even though I'd given them thousands of pounds of their missing money over the years, they still found me to be partially responsible for the burglary and sent me a further demand for £7,500. Woohoo! It was clear that nobody actually wanted to help me. As far as they were concerned, I was just another criminal. I'd never felt so helpless in all my life. I became withdrawn and detached from everything and everyone around me. My wife, she tried. She really did. I thought that's a breaking point. I just couldn't take any more. And I'd reached mine.
After I was questioned by the auditors at my branch, I was cautioned, and then they suggested that we go down to a local police station. Well, I didn't even think to say no or ask for a lawyer. But even in the car, they were relentless. They just kept on telling me that I had to admit that I'd stolen the money and I needed to pay it back. They even offered to take me to the bank to get the cash out. I said to them, I don't have that kind of money. I just kept saying, no, I haven't stolen anything. I asked them for evidence of this 50 grand shortfall, but all they produced were the written weekly account reports that I'd signed and sent off to Chesterfield, telling me that this was proof of false accounting. I told them, I said, look, if I'm a thief, I must be a lousy thief to be stealing from myself when I've already had to borrow money from my mother to pay you back. And when they said that I would be going to prison for a very long time, all I could think about was my 3-year-old children growing up without their mother. And that's when I knew I had to get a lawyer. I couldn't be let them do this to me. I asked them there and then, I said, has any other branches having these kind of issues? No, they told me, just you.
The post office underestimated me. Between paying off the outgoing postmaster and refurbishing the shop next door, my wife and I spent over £100,000 of our life savings on this business. And for what? To just let the post office come in and take it all? And just like that leave us with nothing? There was no way I was going to let them get away with that. Excuse my flourishing, but they fought with the wrong postmaster that way. After that, as far as I was concerned, this was war. I suspected what had happened to me was just the tip of the iceberg, and there must be others going through exactly the same thing. I knew there was something rotten with the horizon, and I was going to find out what. Soon the post office victims website, I said I've got a trickle of contacts. But after that 2009 Computer Weekly article, the numbers kept going up and up. Later that year, the Justice for Sub-Postmasters Alliance was born. First there was 30 of us, then 40, then 50, and the numbers kept growing and growing. We got organized and ready for battle. If the post office wanted to fight, we were going to get the one and be victorious!
Anna, the dinner's ready.
Yes, darling, I'll be there in a moment.
Now, please. And I'm wearing that bandana on the table.
Oh, dear.
It had been my birthday earlier that week. My kids popped in with a card and a present.
It'll be okay, Dad. You'll see.
I know, I said. It's a book. It's the last time I saw her. Following Monday. 23rd of September it was. I got up early. Even though I'd been sacked by the post office, I was still expected to run the branch until a temporary branch manager arrived. I made my way up the A41 as usual. Only this time I stopped in a little lay-bar. Got out the car and stood by the side of the road. I thought about a lot of things in that moment. I thought about how the Steens take over the post office as a business and how it swallowed every single penny we had. I thought about how they treated me after the robbery and the humiliation of it all. I thought about my family, my beautiful wife, my gorgeous kids, and how lucky I've been to have around me for so long. I couldn't seem to escape this feeling that Somehow this was all my fault. That I brought this terrible shame down upon him. It was that shame I couldn't live with anymore. You know, I actually thought this was one decision I had control over. No, I was kidding myself, really. The people at the post office, they made this decision for me. I know I'm going to cause everyone so much pain. But I'm sorry I have to leave. When your own pain is so great, you don't think about consequences. You just want it to go away. You just want it to stop. So I made it stop. And
4 sub-postmasters that we know of took their lives as a direct result of being persecuted by the post office. There would be more. It's easy to say the words post office and think of it as this anonymous, faceless entity that acted with impunity. But the post office was run by actual people. You see, this story has many, many heroes, but damn, it has some real villains too. I mean, talk about real criminals. When we come back, I think it's about time you met some of them. While the Horizon disaster was unfolding, it first came to the attention of Post Office CEO Adam Crozier, who did absolutely nothing about it during his tenure before moving on to another highly paid job elsewhere. Next came Paula Venables, promoted from within from her role as Group Network Director. Her appointment came with a generous salary and the objective of making the Post Office profitable by 2020. A £1.34 billion government grant was given to help achieve this. But it's hard to see where the money went, because during her tenure, a few branches got a new lick of paint, while they closed down dozens more. They also cancelled most of the sub-postmasters' salaries and left the aging Horizon machines exactly where they were. By now, a few articles had appeared in Computer Weekly and Private Eye challenging the integrity of Horizon. But the mainstream press and media at large remained strangely silent. However, the ranks for Justice for Sub-Postmasters Alliance were growing. With the rise of social media, word was finally getting out that a small band of rebels were finally going to stand against the empire of the post office.
You think of you.
On the final day of my court case, standing there in the dock, I was terrified, while the prosecution stated in their summary that any problems with Horizon should be obvious for a sub-postmaster to spot. Really, they never taught us how to spot problems, so how was I supposed to do that? I didn't build the bloody thing. My lawyer fought the good fight, but the post office wouldn't provide the transaction logs for the Horizon system, stating it was too expensive to do so. So it was up to us to prove that Horizon wasn't working. Beyond the Horizon evidence, there was no other evidence of theft offered up in my case, because they couldn't find any. The judge still sentenced me to 15 months in prison. As I was being taken from the dock, I could see the smug faces of the post office legal team already celebrating. My conviction only gave them further proof that Horizon was blameless. I exchanged a distraught look with my husband, sharing a look we only gave each other in our darkest moments. We knew our love for each other is what would see us through. The post office had taken everything from us, but I knew, for the sake of my unborn child, I had to survive this.
Postmaster 5 there. That's to Mr. Smith to you. Forgive the attire. Children's birthday party. Having marshaled the troops, our first meeting took place in November of 2009 in the small village hall of Final Backwater, the darkest Warwickshire. We were a sorry sight to be sure, but saw in one another kindred spirits who had trodden the same unfortunate path. A motley crew of unjustly accused who'd had our lives turned upside down by dark and evil forces difficult to comprehend. When our fellow rebels first gathered, over 500 sub-postmasters had been convicted of theft or false accounting. 70 in 2009 alone. Going into 2013, this figure had reached 680. Of course, we didn't know that back then, but by this time, our growing membership would soon be joined by competent and sympathetic legal experts like Kane. We were still a mouse going up against a lion, but I have heard the lions are easily scared of rodents.
Working central reading will be not solicited.
I'm not sure central reading has quite reached Fanny Backwater yet.
Oh, and Julian called us, going to be late, so I'll do the minutes till he gets here.
Oh, that would be great, thank you.
Children's party.
Halloween!
Oh, God, it's colder than a witch's tits in here.
Put on your tea and biscuits.
I'll just put the kettle on.
Good. No need to use the force then.
Hello, is this the house with Postmasters alive?
Hey, you found us, welcome.
Sorry about my attire, only I've just come from my
Children's party.
Yeah, how did you get it? Good turning out, I see.
That's good to see so many new faces here today.
Right then, should we start with the meeting? So, item 1 of the agenda, our one good MD, James Butler, has met with the post office chairman, or should that be chairwoman, Alice Perkins.
You know she's married to Jack Straw, don't you?
Yeah, it's handy to have friends in high places, isn't it? So, James says that both Alice Perkins and the post office company secretary, Alwyn Lyons, were responsive to his concerns, and that the new CEO01, Paula Venables, would investigate the heights of further.
Venables, she's an Anglican priest. I just read an interview with her in the Daily Telegraph.
Read out your highlights then.
I see the post office as something bigger, deeper.
She sounds sexually frustrated to me. Sorry, go on.
No. When you work for the post office, you have to think about more than the commercial side of things. It's about the community too. People care desperately about the post office.
I read that she told a business conference that she took inspiration from the young King Solomon, who'd shown humility by asking God for a wise and understanding heart so that he would rule his people with justice.
Well, a wise and understanding heart with a bit of justice, Dorothy, is exactly what we need. How shall we sympathetic?
It sounds like a self-important cult to me. What? I call on like to see it.
Mate, time will tell. Next item in it.
Yes, so finally, Post Office General Legal Counsel, Susan Crichton, has appointed forensic accountants Second Sight to independently investigate Horizon. Now, they're an independent accounting firm run by Ron Warrington and Ian Henderson.
How did they get the job?
Oh, I heard they were the cheapest. The new CEO likes to save money.
Yeah, but apparently they have been approved by the one MP actually fighting around corner, James Buthnott. And apparently they're looking at the first 13 convictions that came about using Horizon as evidence, including my case, I believe.
But how do we know they'll be impartial?
We don't. Which is why we're going to meet them for ourselves, so that I can look them in the eye. We've also secured a meeting with the new CEO herself. So, I guess we'll get to see just how much of it. See you next Tuesday, Miss Benenz, for ourselves, probably.
to the first meeting of the new secret subcommittee for Project X. Alvin, take notes, please.
Of course. And here's those recipes from the chemist that Nielsen's.
Oh, my Jenna, lovely. Oh, cheesy muffins, lovely. Lunch break and those later. Super. So I can see we have Mark Davis and Alistair Murdoch online. Everybody wave. Lovely. Oh, sit down. Oh, please. So I'll just tick them off, and then we can do the rest of the roll.
Shouldn't we wait until everyone else is here?
Susan Crichton, legal counsel for this.
Present.
Angela van der Begard.
Present!
What does she do again?
I'm the network operations manager. I'm absolutely brilliant at everything and completely transparent. Do we have time for me to waffle on for 90 minutes about how brilliant I am at everything?
No, God, no, you did that last week. Begard present. Alice Perkins, company secretary. Alice Perkins. Oh, hold on, that's me, isn't it? I took myself off. Belinda Crowe, program director of Project X.
Present. And whilst we're on the subject, I really think we should think about changes in there. Project X? It conjures up all sorts of images of illegal activity, which is exactly what I thought we want to avoid.
Yes, good point, well made, Belinda. About that topic to any other business. Now, I believe we're just waiting for our CEO.
You may say,
Don't worry about being late, Paul. We've only just got started.
you will address me as anything else. As a CEO is never late, Miss Perkins. She arrives exactly when she means to be. Now, I have some good news to report. After extensive cost-cutting, we are back on target for Objective 2020.
Yay!
What's that? I know what that is.
And that is the government's target deadline to make the post office operationally profitable.
We very yes, that's the outfit.
Yes.
Good. Let us move to more important matters now. I welcome you all to the first of our secret committee meetings.
Perhaps, my lord, I mean Gatehouse, as a program director of this secret subcommittee, it might be nice if I knew what its function was exactly. Or not like developers, whatever you think is best.
This top secret committee has been put together by Paul because Paul and those who look to us to guide it are concerned that the interim report from forensic accountant Second Sight appear to be throwing some considerable doubt on the reliability of Horizon, which, as we all know, is
Very robust. Sorry, I did think we were expecting Second Sight to completely exonerate us.
Ian Henderson of Second Sight here. Ian to my friends. Forensic gods for everyone else. Susan Carden got us on board to investigate Horizon on behalf of the post office. I like Susan. She was a decent, straightforward sort. An exception to the rule among this bunch, I can tell you. When we first sat down with Alice Perkins and Paul Reynolds, Ron and I were very clear in our remit. So just to be clear in our remits, you do understand that a Second Sight are to investigate Horizon on behalf of the post office. We're only interested in getting to the truth, not delivering some kind of white.
But that is what? Exactly what we all want. Ian. I can call you Ian.
Mr. Henderson.
Mr. Henderson, Paul and I are only interested in getting to the bottom of the matter.
Absolutely. Your reputation precedes you. That is why you and Mr. Warmington are here.
And you do understand that if our findings go against you, it could seriously damage your brand or perhaps even undermine your business model?
Mr. Henderson, we are only interested in the truth. We have every confidence that you will find this nothing more than a few bad apples.
Right, we'll get down to work. Can I just ask what that person is doing?
Oh, nothing. They are just storing some important files in our special evidence holding. Our secure storage area.
As long as they're not destroying any files we might need to look at.
Enough! Our head of network operation, Angela van der Begard, will assist Second Sight with whatever you need.
Yes, I'm absolutely brilliant at everything and will be very helpful and completely transparent at all times.
I'd expect nothing less from our nation's most trusted brand. Fine. We'll start with these 13 cases and move forward from there. I'll need all files, documents, emails, everything.
We'll be sending a letter out to every branch in the country informing them of your investigation and asking them to raise any concerns they might have of their own.
You are very aware that the Justice for Postmasters Alliance would like us to look at a lot more cases. Buried deep within the letter in question was some rather important wording. It stated,
Second Sight will be entitled to request information related to any concern from Post Office Limited, and if we hold that information, Post Office Limited will provide it to Second Sight.
With that in mind, I thought it was high time I visited Fujitsu.
As your legal counsel, it is my duty to point out to this committee that our own barrister noted there was evidence reporting bugs in the Horizon system that were not disclosed to defence in previous cases. We summarised all this in a report. I think we really need to get behind the mediation scheme in good faith and try to get it to work. I am deeply concerned about all of this. Not least because I read correspondence in an email chain that suggests that our head of security issued an order to delete all emails and destroy documents pertaining to both this legal advice and all matters voicing concerns on Horizon's reliability.
Who is that head of security again?
Just what?
Sounds like they should get a bonus. Make a note of it, Perkins.
Yes, of course, Lord Vader. I mean Lady Reynolds.
Right. Firstly, we should not be destroying any evidence. And I think some of these convictions using Horizon evidence might not be legally robust. I really think we need to reconsider our position, as this could just be the tip of the iceberg. I really think we need to start.
Do. Find your lack of faith in our most trusted brand and Horizon disturbing.
I really think we need to start a sincere mediation process. Wait, what?
Angela, get rid of that mess, would you?
Chris Ozard here. I will be taking over as legal counsel for the post office. And may I just say, before we say anything else, that Horizon is very robust.
So, put a you to parachute in, Mr. Ojard.
Well, I'm only too happy to be here, especially as you proved my hourly rate. Now, I understand that you might be in a bit of a pickle over some of your convictions with your Horizon evidence.
Yes, and as a deeply religious woman of incredible conviction, I feel I must embrace the true teachings of the Bible.
Well, exactly. We neither humble nor forgiving. That's the bright spirits. Look, this whole thing is nothing but a bunch of thieving, failed coppers and former publicans who are all on the take.
And for reasons we cannot fathom in their entry report, Second Sight appear to be siding with these criminals. I mean, they were hired to accelerate us.
Don't worry, ladies, in this sort of situation, it's really very simple, you see. All you need to do is remember the golden rule. Repeat after me, keep calm and call counsel.
And keep calm and call counsel.
Yes, not bad. Still needs a bit of work. Now, I see my role here as being one to storm the enemy for. Mire them up to their necks in legal quack. Oh, and lots and lots and lots of invoicing, clean and sweet. said Steen.
What are we going to do about the mediation process of the sub-postmasters?
Fuck the mediation process. End it! Bury them in legal fees right up to their necks. It will mean, Lady Reynolds, lots and lots and lots of overtime. On my part, of course, but that's a cross for you that I am willing to bear. Thanks.
The Emperor chooses his people wisely. You are most welcome here, Mr. Ojard. So, is everybody clear on our purpose? Protect the brand, protect Horizon, discredit Second Sight, and stall the mediation process.
Yeah, sounds like a pass. Very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, dear. This body's rather heavy. If I could just say something, because I am so brilliant and hardworking. Did I mention that before?
Yes, you did.
Yes. Well, I am completely transparent. I have heard that Panorama are making a program which will be critical of Horizon. And they are already interviewing several former sub-postmasters.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Oh my God, I don't think we can.
Silence! There is no need to panic. This is why we have Mr. Ojard here. We will continue the post office party lines that there are no IT failures within Horizon that could cause any financial shortfalls, and that the system is working brilliantly.
It's excellent. But one thing, I mean, I know we're jumping around the timeline here a little bit, but if we want to keep this secret subcommittee secret, can we call it something more innocuous than Project X?
Yes, that's a good point, pretty one. You're just sexy Peter. Wow, let me think about it. I don't know. How about something like Project Mop and Bucket?
Oh, too specific, something more banal.
It's been said and I'm very banal.
Yes.
I know. Why don't we name it after an animal? What's about it? Project Robin Redbreast.
No, too small, something grander. What about Project Eagle? Oh God, no, far too American. Something more insignificant.
Project Sparrow?
Perfect.
That's good, I like that. Yes, I like that.
Brilliant and completely confounded. So,
Now, I have granted the leaders of the Alliance an audience. Soon, they will learn never to underestimate the resolve of the Empire. Thank you, of the Post Office.
What was the reason of the new CEO of the Post Office?
She was right. She's a cunt.
So what do we do now?
Take the cunts to court.
About the tide.
First thing I learned upon venturing forth to deepest, darkest Bradley was that there was a rather large contingent of post office staff working on Horizon at Fujitsu. They were basically a right bunch of muppets. After talking to them, it became apparent no one in senior management seemed to know who they were responsible to or what they were doing.
I don't know who we report to, do you? No. Let's just keep writing code to take the money. Yes. Yep.
After a brief tour of the place, I had an hour-long meeting with Gareth Jenkins, who was a high-profile court expert witness in one of the highest-profile court cases against the former sub-postmaster. And let's just say, what he said in court on behalf of the post office and what he told me were somewhat at odds with each other. So, just to be crystal clear, there's absolutely no remote access to any Horizon terminal by you or anyone in your team.
You're joking, right?
Yes, buddy!
Alright, so absolutely no access then.
no.
No, we've got remote access. We couldn't do our job without it.
Yes, that's
me how this works in layman's terms?
Well, basically, we can log in as a sub-postmaster, access their terminal, and download a clone of their machine to work on.
And you can do this with any terminal, in any branch, anywhere in the country at any time.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's right. Yep, 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 yep.
And the post office knows.
No. No.
Of course they do.
Yes. Yep, 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 yep.
Yeah, no, we're not supposed to mention it to anyone outside the office, though.
No. No.
But you knew that, right?
No. There we have it. From the mouths of their own design team. But it wasn't just issues with Fujitsu. We also found problems with their internal security and auditing teams. We found their entire approach centered around getting a conviction rather than investigating if there had been a crime in the first place. Once a conviction had been achieved, it was all about asset recovery. Worst of all, they were actually incentivized to adopt this approach. Upon returning back to POL HQ, I bumped into Allwyn Lyons, telling her of my findings regarding access.
You must have misunderstood, Ian.
Mr. Henderson, no misunderstanding, they gave me a demonstration.
Ian, Mr. Henderson, remote access to any account simply cannot happen.
I saw it with my own eyes. Gareth Jenkins gave me a demonstration himself.
Well, he must have meant it was theoretically possible, but not actually possible. I was secret meetings to attend, a normal meeting to attend.
There it was. Willful denial of the facts. After my conversation with Lyons, the post office started to close ranks on Ron and I, withholding certain important legal documents and emails under the guise of legal privilege, which directly contradicted the letter they'd sent out. It was almost as if Post Office Limited hierarchy had forgotten they were public servants, so were living in a blissful state of cultural blindness. It was clear they were going to discredit our report. When we published our report, they rejected all of our findings. And so, Post Office Limited and Second Sight parted ways.
While others were fighting the good fight, I was charged with 3 counts of false accounting. My lawyer, well, she was a nice young lady, but I don't think she was that experienced. And she advised me to plead guilty to the charges and pay back the money. And Prince, I don't get £50,000. The post office asked the judge for a confiscation order so they could take my property. But our Scottish judge was wary about it, and he demanded to see actual paperwork verifying the amounts that were missing. They failed to provide him with anything, so in the end, finally received a suspended prison sentence, and I had to do 200 hours of unpaid work. But I still owed 50 grand. So I had to take out a second mortgage. I tried not to let my children see me cry. And we stopped going out. No more careless for us. It was so hard after that. I couldn't face seeing anyone anymore. I even stopped taking Louise to school because I felt so ashamed. So I might not go to prison, but the post office turned real life into an Odyssey.
Wow, so getting a bit overly emotional in here, isn't it? I bet you're all willing to see me again, eh? So here, this will interest you. With Horizon now running, well, not running so well, you know what I mean, for over a decade, at one point there was a series of unplanned complete system shutdowns, which led to the entire Horizon network going offline for a whole day. But shit you not, at one point there was 1 million mechanic issues in a single week. 1 million! Not long after that, an internal IT review was conducted. To put it into perspective, between 1999 and 2019, Fujitsu changed their operating software 19,482 times. I know, right? I only need to download BitTorrent once to fuck up my computer. Anyway, not long after that, we all received an email stating quite clearly that the recent issues with Horizon may have resulted in miscarriages of justice in ongoing court cases for the post office. When I received that email, I really had no idea what had been going on. I mean, they were all a bit disconnected from these things. Maybe that's the way Fujitsu liked it. I don't know. Not long after that, a memo then got deleted from the work email account. But I had already forged it to resend me seeing. I always find it's good to keep an eye on one's back in the side of work. I ain't been no one's scapegoat, especially since I've been pointing out all the issues from the beginning. Them choosing to ignore my advice, that's not my fault. But when I heard people were suffering, like really suffering, I knew it was time to blow the whistle.
I knew the mediation process was going to be a complete waste of time. The post office just keep on stalling us.
I could tell they were never serious. They're probably hoping half of us will be dead before we see the compensation.
At least our good friend James Arbuthnot, MP, expressed his dissatisfaction with the post office in the House of Commons.
And it was even nicer seeing that Paula Bennell was squirming from the BSI committee last week.
Oh God, I hope she gets put in the dock. Is Julian coming today?
No, I heard him speak ill again. Maybe we should get him a hamper or something.
I don't think he's got much of an appetite at the moment. It's the chemo, you know. Yeah. Still, at least all the publicity's further swelled our ranks. Who knew so many people watched Panorama, right? Oh, heard the post office were very disappointed with the programme.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. How's the correspondence going on the website?
Oh, well, I can't keep up with all the emails. We've got 500 members already. We're going to have our next AGM in a bigger hall.
Yeah, does make you wonder how many there are of us out there. You're very quiet today, Mr. Steen.
I have some good news. I've been spending the time spreading with the mediation process to assemble all the documentation we need for our case.
Our case?
We're going to sue the post office in the High Court.
Well, won't that be expensive?
It will, but we found a finance company willing to back us.
Yes! Back of the net! Come on.
But who are they?
See, and they're willing to back us to the hilt, but on the downside, they will take a huge portion if we win.
When we win, Steen.
That's right, when we win. The way I look at it, this is our only choice going forward. Agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed!
Now we need to get as many members to sign up for the group litigation as possible.
I'll get emailing everyone straight away tonight, Mr. Smith.
Excellent, Mr. Smith. But remember, if we are going to do this, everyone must accept the outcome, whatever it may be. Everyone must go into this knowing that we might not get everything they feel that we deserve. And no doubt, our good friends at the post office will deliberately make this drawn out at court.
Oh, what's new? I'm game.
We've almost been campaigning for 6 years. I'm in this for as long as it takes.
Yes, of course. I understand, and thank you for letting me know.
What is it?
It's Julian. He's gone.
So, in August 2016, with 198 claimants on board, Bates versus Post Office, or that should probably be Smith versus Post Office for the purposes of tonight, was finally filed. It was the beginning of an extremely long road. And ultimately, there would be 555 of us. One of the unexpected upsides of this whole experience was that I got to make friends with all of these people who I would never have met otherwise. My right-hand man, Julian Wilson, was one of them. We haven't had the time to introduce him to you tonight. But if you open chat, he'd be dashingly handsome. So that chap in a fact well. If I was the head of the Alliance, Julian was pretty much his beating heart. He'd been accepted onto the mediation process, only to be told that now that he'd been convicted of false accounting, the post office wouldn't mediate with him. As with many of us, the stress of the situation impacted his health. First, diabetes, and then cancer. He told me he was going to beat it. He even kept as many meetings as he possibly could. His smile was infectious. And when he couldn't make it, he'd be on the phone to me. Do you need me to write any letters this week, he'd say. See, but Julian was always about what he could do for other people. We lost him the same month we filed our case in court. I can't believe he won't be around to see this through with the rest of us. I feel like I lost my right arm. As the leader of this cause, I have always had to put up in front. Not being a man prone to showing emotion in public, you understand. This fight for the truth, it took its toll. And his loss was felt by us all. I just couldn't afford to show I was hurting. Such are the burdens of leadership. So, I would just bottle it all up and let these things out when I was alone. After his passing, now more than ever I was determined to see this through to victory no matter how long it took. But even I couldn't have predicted just how far the post office would go to try to derail our case.
I can't believe all of those sub-postmasters taking our most trusted round to court without the cheek. Who the hell do they think they are?
I just think it's become a bit of a common industry with everyone just trying their luck.
Well, I think I did brilliantly in front of the committee.
Well, that's because you didn't say anything, and when you did, nobody could hear you.
Exactly. I was very quiet and completely transparent.
I certainly hope I do not have to take the stand. So what is our legal strategy for the court case, Mr. Ajard?
Well, that is really very simple, Lady Winnell. Very simple indeed. We're going to object and delay at every step. See, that's the plan. Delay, delay, delay. I know that they've got financial backing, but well, I mean, I don't think that their pockets are as deep as the post office. My office on making a dent in the funds. Well, I'll be able to handle anything. But this is going to cost us, and it's going to derail us from becoming profitable by 2020.
Nothing must derail Project 2020.
However, as much as the panorama program lacked anything of real substance, I'm afraid that we are going to have to admit that remote access to branch accounts with Horizon software is possible.
Oh,
No, it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is. And I'm afraid that the defence have documentation definitively proving it is possible. So we would be wise to just admit that and move on. Now, I will make sure that you, my darling, of course, you, definitely you, and of course you, sexy one, yes, probably not you. We're technically all unaware of this, of course.
Fine. Do we have any other tricks up our sleeve?
Oh, yes, we certainly do. Wherever possible, we're going to lay the blame for absolutely everything at the door.
Excellent. You have done well, Mr. Ajard.
Fine, please, Lady Reynolds. And in voice.
So, shall we reconvene after the initial legal skirmishes have taken place?
Excellent plan.
So, now that the initial legal skirmishes have taken place. Where are we?
In the shit, I'm afraid. Some of you are definitely going to have to take the stand, including you, Angela VD.
Bollocks! Oh, bugger, is that the time? Mustached waitress.
Let's get the ball in, Joe.
It seems to me that the judge has taken a dislike to us.
Well, I think I defended Horizon rather brilliantly in the stand.
Yeah. I think the fact that you said that Horizon error logs, which, by the way, you had said didn't even exist in the first place, were not relevant to the case. I saw the judge's face. Didn't exactly do us any favours. So what's the plan now? Well, I'll continue objecting and delaying it over stage, of course, pretty one. But don't worry, ladies. Keep calm and
Call counsel!
because I have a brilliant plan. Oh, yes, brilliant. I'm going to recuse the judge from this case.
Really? For what reason?
Got this bias towards the defence, of course, pretty one.
And will that work?
Oh, absolutely. So will it work? No. Well,
Oh, bollocks, that's not very brilliant, is it?
yeah.
So what happens now?
Well, now, I don't think we're going to be back in court again in 2019. Not with the story in delay I'm going to be doing. There is one other matter we need to address today. I'm afraid it concerns you, Lady Reynolds. They require a meeting upstairs with you. Now, I'm afraid.
I see. Right. Well, I shall seek all of the Bedfordshire bake sale then.
Now, as we push on into 2020, I have a feeling this coronavirus issue is going to have the fortunate bit of luck to keep us all off the front pages and out of the press, so yes. In the meantime, I will of course keep invoicing, and you should just keep calm and...
Call counsel!
Yeah.
Despite the best efforts of the Post Office to derail proceedings, eventually the case was heard. And in November 2019, the Post Office lost their appeal against the judgment. The judges sitting on the case did not mince their words.
Today is the final hearing day of the Post Office litigation case, and I find as follows. Firstly, I have very grave concerns about the veracity of evidence given by the Fujitsu employees both before me and to other courts in previous proceedings. They consistently fail to disclose the existence of bugs and defects within the Horizon system, despite being fully aware of them. Consequently, I shall be referring this matter to the Director of Public Prosecutions for further investigation. Furthermore, I find that the first iteration of the Horizon system was not remotely robust, and its second incarnation, Legacy Horizon, which came into operation in 2010, was slightly more robust, but still had significant bugs, errors, and defects. Furthermore, both the Post Office and Fujitsu failed to properly and fully investigate the myriad of ongoing problems with the Horizon system. All evidence in this trial shows not only there was potential for such errors to occur, but that it actually happened on numerous occasions. The approach of Post Office Limited to the litigation amounted to bare assertions and denials that ignore what has actually occurred. This amounts to the 21st century equivalent of maintaining the world is flat.
First thing Ron and I thought when we heard the judgment was if these sub-postmasters weren't taking the money, weren't stealing it, and then returned all these funds back to the post office, where had these funds gone? When would these monies be returned to their rightful owners? It also occurred to us that if the post office had simply acted upon our report in 2015, it would have saved vast amounts of public money and spared a great many people considerable distress, loss, and suffering. I was very pleased that 555 sub-postmasters were awarded £55 million. But after legal fees, I was sure glad it wasn't my job to work out who got what for the meagre pile that was left.
Legal proceedings continued into 2020 with the Post Office setting up the historical shortfall scheme, known to many currently as the long wait scheme to compensate the former sub-postmasters. Several died while awaiting their compensation. But attitudes within the hierarchy still remain largely unchanged. Angela van der Bogart told the High Court she still couldn't see any connection between the 555 sub-postmaster cases that even her own employer had now said were unsafe. After leaving Pole, Bogart went on being considerably less than brilliant in a number of other highly paid roles. Finally, the government ordered a public inquiry. It's still going on as I speak. In the meantime, Paula Bennell stepped down as CEO of Post Office Limited and became something of a persona non grata in her other roles. We can only hope that one day she'll be sitting in the dock herself. You know, I often wondered how she would fare if she had to face a lie detector test.
Shall you find out?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another game of Truth or Lies with me, your host, Lance Nielsen. Tonight, our lovely guest, Executive Chairman Paula Bennell, CBE. I know what the C and that stands for. Okay, Miss Bennell, your starter for 10.
Where am I? Is this some kind of dream?
For legal reasons, we're going to say yes. Now, were you aware of an internal post office report that stated in regards to sub-postmaster Joe Hamilton that there was no evidence of actual theft?
No, I was not aware of that report.
Well, that's a lie. As CEO, it was part of your duty to have been made aware of such reports. Now, not long after your promotion, everyone told you that Horizon was reliable, but were you not informed that Horizon had systemic issues from an important source?
No, everyone I relied on informed me Horizon was without fault.
That's lie number 2. Tim McCormack detailed this to you in a 2015 email.
He's just a sub-postmaster.
Oh, right, yeah. They only run the entire network of the business? No, we understand you'd have no interest in anything they have to say. Let's move on, shall we? Now, not long after your promotion, a company called BAE Systems furnished the post office with what became known as the Deltica Report. That report stated that Horizon had insecure systems and processes and a lack of robust controls and records. Did you feel secure pressing ahead with the criminal convictions of your sub-postmasters having been informed of this report?
I was never aware of the contents of the report when I took over as CEO.
That is a lie. It was discussed at a board meeting over which you presided. We have seen the redacted minutes.
But as I said, I never saw it.
Unfortunately, Miss Meadows, our bullshit detective disagrees with you. Now, an expert report questioning Horizon's reliability was deliberately hidden from the counsel for the defense on more than one occasion. Truth or lie?
Lie. We wouldn't have deliberately held back any evidence.
I'm afraid that's true. The post office constantly withheld any information that could show Horizon might be at fault. You're doing very well, Miss Reynolds. Now, more recently, you had to step down from a number of high-profile positions, including your position within the Church of England. Was it your decision to do so?
Absolutely. The proceedings of the court case have made it impossible for me to properly fulfill my duties in those roles.
That is a lie. I believe in every single case you were told that your position is no longer tenable and that you should leave quietly.
Well, the decision was reached
By mutual agreement.
Well, we'll let the court of public opinion decide on that one. Now, not long after the full vindication of the first 39 sub-postmasters, you have said you offered the innocent sub-postmasters a full apology. Truth or lie?
That's absolutely true. I remember exactly what I said. I was deeply saddened by the sub-postmaster's accounts heard during the Court of Appeals proceedings, and I am truly sorry for the suffering caused to them as a result of convictions, which the Court of Appeal has overturned today.
I'm sorry, Miss Bells, but I have been reliably informed that no sub-postmaster considers this a full nor sincere apology. During your time in the pulpit, you said, and I quote, "Give to your servant an understanding heart, that I may discern between good and evil."
That's right.
Do you think you have an understanding heart, Miss Bells? Well, look at that. We're out of time. I guess we'll never know. Okay, Miss Bellows, at the end of that round, you scored nil point. Yeah. But you have yet to face justice. Fortunately for you, you left the post office with a golden parachute payment on top of your yearly salary of £255,000. Didn't she do well, ladies and gentlemen?
I think I'm just in a terrible nightmare.
Oh, trust me, Miss Bellows, I think for you, this is just the beginning.
It was an odd feeling. Us all fighting the good fight for so long and going back and forth to court during the pandemic, knowing that we couldn't even hug each other. Then, when the first judgment was handed down vindicating our cause, we couldn't even celebrate because of social distancing. Although, personally, I think our party might have qualified as a work event. So we'd won. But the money didn't go very far. Most of the 555 barely got back a fraction of what they lost, and thousands more had now joined the new mediation scheme. Part of the problem is, the perception of the public is that we won, and this whole thing is over. Nothing could be further from the truth. We're still battling to get back the full amount of money the post office stole from us to be returned. So even after everything that we've been through, still, it goes on. It's hard to explain how I felt when we won the case. Emotional, but not joyful. To find joy once again was going to take me a really long time.
The post office were finally forced to admit that at least 500 sub-postmasters may have been wrongly convicted using horizon evidence. And believe me, there will be many more to come. In December 2020, the first 6 convictions were quashed. Dozens more would follow, including several this year alone. And the fallout that followed the pattern of Fujitsu in the post office, blaming each other for their mutual failures, continues even to this day. The testimony of some of the employees during the public inquiry beggars belief. You can see it for yourself on YouTube. Looking back, I never wanted the last third of my life to be consumed by running a campaign for justice. I didn't want to lead 555 individuals in a legal battle for compensation, nor be party to how that compensation might be divided up accordingly. I know this was and still is a source of difficulty for many. I didn't want to watch my good friend, our friend, Julian lose his battle to cancer. I'd give up every penny of my compensation just to have him standing here with us tonight. And if it wasn't for the actions of the post office, I'm sure he would be. For some, our legal victory has been hollow. I know many are still upset and they feel they were not paid enough. I cannot disagree with that. Still, I am proud of everything we achieved. We brought the scandal to light and we made a difference. We fought the good fight. Now, I think it's time I put my feet.
Alan, your tea's breaking. Our double professionals on.
My favorite episode, I hope.
Private madness, public danger.
Quiet. I'm coming, Mrs. Smith. Any chance of biscuit? Would you like to join us?
My conviction was finally overturned in the summer of 2021. It took so long. And after everything that the post office put me and my family through, I am still waiting for a full and proper apology, and no one that begins with the words, "It is a matter of regret." My eldest child was 12 when all this started. She's 29 now, and it's still going on because they keep on stalling over our compensation. And now we have this public inquiry, which is good, and I was very glad to get to speak to Sir Wynne. But do they have any real power? Even if they recommend criminal prosecutions, I can't see the guilty parties going to prison. You just know that they can play the blame game and then drag it out in the courts for as long as possible, just like they do now with our so-called compensation. And then, you know what'll happen then, don't you? Everyone's lawyers will get together and they'll say, well, you know, too much time's passed now, and it'd be better for everyone if you just move on. I've been trying to move on for 2 decades. So don't talk to me about moving on. Because believe me, I'm trying, but I can't with all these games they keep playing with our lives. This is one of the worst, most wanton acts of criminal behaviour in the history of this country. And they think they're going to get away with it. Are you going to let them? My daughter, she just qualified as a lawyer. Can you believe that? She said to me, Mum, I am never going to let them forget what they did to you. Just you wait and see. Like I said, wise beyond her years, my daughter.
With my conviction quashed, our celebrations were somewhat muted because we followed the social distancing rules, because that's what awful people do, you see, they follow the rules. One thing I've learned throughout this awful journey is that people who come from certain walks of life just don't think that the rules apply to them. When I look in the mirror now, I can't believe how much I've aged. This hair used to be naturally blonde once, and until I started dyeing it recently, my youngest said that I'd be going to look a lot like Gatehouse. I was 30 when I went to prison. Now I look and feel more like 70. You see, that's the worst thing the post office took from me was time. Time away from my dying mother, time away from my family. Once that's gone, it's gone forever and you can never get it back. And it's really hard to know where to place all this anger I feel inside because I am so bloody angry. When we did eventually all meet up and share each other's mutual horror stories, it was only then we finally realised the true devastation this catastrophic mess had caused in people's lives. Hundreds of marriages, including my own, relationships and reputations ruined. My friend is right. It would be overly optimistic of us to think that those responsible for all that we have endured would actually see the inside of a prison cell. But I was really pleased to learn the other day that some of those responsible at the post office do in fact have deep religious convictions. Yeah, that's really good, because I've always been a big believer in karma, me. If there's a heaven, my God, their place truly belongs in hell.
Do not mistake the intent of the dark humour in our story tonight to trivialise the pain and loss that hundreds upon hundreds experienced in this woeful tale. And do you know what contract Fujitsu have been awarded now? To give IT support to the National Computer System for the Police Forces of the United Kingdom. An insider already tells us it's not going too well. The Horizon Post Office scandal became the biggest miscarriage of justice in British history, destroying thousands of lives by the total indifference shown by people like Angela van der Bogart, Alwyn Lyons, Alice Perkins, Rod Ishmay, Mark Davies, Adam Crozier, and Paula Venables, CBE. Yeah, they gave her that honour in 2019, even after the facts of the case were known. So that's what we do now. Reward people who lie and send innocent people to prison. Do you remember our man from Bowen, from the beginning of this story? How just one person's voice could have saved lives. They had that chance to, but they didn't take it. No, they continued to sanction prosecutions, even after knowing that Horizon was unsafe, knowing that their actions were unlawful. You know, but if you look up the word murder in the dictionary, its literal meaning is this: intentional, unlawful killing. 35 sub-postmasters died before they could seek justice. 4 committed suicide. One of those was my father. Dad was a proud man. Post office, they could have taken everything else from him. He could have handled it. Just started crying. When you took that, to use the definition of unlawful killing as far as I'm concerned, you murdered him. Now he's gone. All their public inquiries or their convoluted compensation schemes, they're not going to bring it back. But if you're going to put a price on my father's life when you can't compensate my family, well, you'd better be expecting to pay us millions. I mean, not that it's about money, but you know, that's the only language you'll understand. It was more cost-effective to send innocent people to prison than it was to just fix some broken piece of software and admit that you were wrong. When the post office went after my father, it wasn't just about destroying his life and his family. My family. They looked at him and all of the sub-postmasters are just financial assets to be stripped. They were just goods to be evaluated and mined for every single penny they had, until all they owned, who they once were, all that they had worked so hard to become, was just taken from them. Till there was nothing left. To the post office, they were all the same. To us, they're real people. Take a look around you. They could have been the person sitting next to you, or your neighbour. They were fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, friends. They were loved ones. We will remember them as the people they were before. The post office, they can count on us fighting back. So, all of you who knew and were involved in this shameful atrocity, we could make sure people never forget what you did to us. That's our gift to you. It's your legacy, after all. Consider it a promise. One I made to my father. You don't know me yet, but you will. Believe me when I say, unlike the post office, our most trusted brand, I don't break my promises.